What do you see in this slide? The girl eating ice cream. Okay. And what is the relationship between the girl and the caption? Do we learn things as we eat? Do our children learn as they eat? Yes. They learn habits. They learn values. They learn quantity. They learn generosity. They learn sufficiency. They learn balance. They learn limits. Right? They learn some responsibility. Right? I captured this picture based on a story. I don't know if I said it here or somewhere else, but the story was for one of the greatest scholars and murabbiin who used to come to America for a long time. And he used to do training programs for parents and parenting and stuff. And he was one day giving a lecture for women in New Jersey. And as he was giving the lecture, he was talking about how do we train our children to recognize sufficiency and to recognize amounts and to recognize limits and balance. And as he was talking, a girl entered the whole lecture hall with as big ice cream cone as this. That's his description. Okay? And he looks at the girl and he says, wow, I didn't know that I was here to lecture about lion cubs. I thought we're talking about children. I'm not going to embarrass anybody, but when this girl grows 1 year older, do you find a bigger ice cream to give her?
Yeah.
Is there in the market bigger ice cream? And does it grow with the boy or the girl? So those people are raised with endless greed because they see things as endless supplies. So they don't know the words that most of the world know. Honey, this is what we have. This should be sufficient. There are people in other places who don't have your main course. There are people who don't even have clean water, let alone double course food and double course sweets and all of that. So he says it is very important that as parents, we exercise balance in what we offer our children so that we teach them balance. We exercise reasonability so that we teach our children to be reasonable. So when the child is unable to hold ice cream together and she is eating a whole adult double ice cream, this is too much. So I started to capture this picture to just illustrate the point that as we teach our children to eat and the etiquette of eating, there are lots of values that come with food and eating food. So this is the point behind this picture. Do we learn as we color? Do our children learn as they color books? As young as 4, 5, 6 years old? What do they learn? And what should they learn? They should learn the colors of people. They should learn the colors of things. They should learn the colors of views that we share or do not share. They should focus on what is common and distinguish what is different. This is the point of coloring. Okay? And the picture that you give to a child to color always sends a subliminal message, a hidden message. We need to discover when we give our children coloring books, what is it exactly we are teaching them, because there are things that they learn despite what we want them to learn. So leaving the children to figure out what to learn from resources is dangerous because they can learn the opposite of what you want them to learn. So you need to explain to them, I got you this picture because it teaches you this. Don't want you to look at this picture because this is what it teaches us. So we need to talk with our children and not let them learn from materials that are not explained to them. Okay. I want you to take the time to think about this. When a child is coloring, most of us parents give the children a coloring book just to get their noise away. What do you see in this picture? Dad is involved. Daddy is involved. Baba is available. Baba cares and loves and knows and teaches. This is very important. This is very important. And I intentionally picked, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Barakallahu feek. I intentionally picked a father-like figure in the picture for parents to understand the importance of the role of the father. It is the mother, really, who needs a break from children, not the father. Because she spends a lot more time with them than the father. The father should take it as an opportunity, not as a chore. When I sit with my kids and I consider it a chore, they also feel it. And they don't appreciate it. And they don't like me or their mom. But if I sit with joy and interest, I radiate joy and interest in them. Very important. Do we learn as we type on the computer or the iPad? As we type, right? What do we learn? What do we want to teach kids who are learning typing for their first time or the second time, or just they are typing? What do we want them to learn? Learn spelling, learn words, learn that letters make up words, and words make up sentences, and what you key is what you see. And this is similar to what? It is similar to our book of records. You type in your own book of record every time you speak, and one day you will see it as you see the screen. And it comes from simple letters and words. Allah says, وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. Just two-letter word. وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. Don't say uff to your parents. Right? Just two letters. What do they mean for Allah? They mean a lot. The word Allah, four-letter word, what does it mean when you remember Him, when you write His name, when you type His name? What does it mean? You're making dhikr, right? So we also teach our children that they have choices of what they put in their own record. And they also need to understand when somebody asks you to write a journal about something, it is that because they want to know what you think. They want to know what you have of private life. And it is up to you to give it up to them or to keep it to yourself. We need to teach our children as they type that they have choices of typing good words or bad words. And what they type stays in the system. It stays in their name, in their system, and one day it will show up. So typing is not about spelling alone. Typing is not about language. Typing is not about the keyboard. It is about much more than this. Which means when you text a friend a message, you should take full responsibility for every word and every letter you type. When you speak with a friend, you do the same. Watch your mouth. So as they type, they learn responsibility. As they type, they learn choices. As they type, they learn that the choice is between good and bad, right and wrong, truth and false. This is part of the things we need to focus with our children as they type and they learn typing. What do you see in this picture? What is the relationship between the images in the picture and the word success? That is true. You have to belong to a certain group, to a certain class, to a certain culture. You have to meet certain imagery expectations to be included in the successful team. Okay? And those pictures come more often than we think, both on the internet and on the TV, that our children are bombarded with something that is anti themselves, especially our girls. They cannot see themselves successful with this hijab. Because successful women are like these. They work with men intimately, and they work together and successful, and they can be leaders, speakers, and anchors of TV, and intellectuals, and references, and professors. Nothing in hijab here. Nothing in a jilbab for men or women. So those bombarded images in the hearts and minds of our children, they create this image of what is success? What do I want to be when I grow older? And how do I get there? And when do I start putting off my hijab, putting off and hiding at least my identity, putting out prayer, because if I pray, I'm not going to be in the picture. I'm not going to be in the picture. So now I'm asking you a question. How do we deal with this? How do we teach our children they can be successful despite those images? How do we do this? I'm really asking a question.
For us, we should not always wait for our kids to experience somebody else's narrative to feel successful. We should create that narrative, and we should own the narrative. At least that's my opinion.
And what is your narrative to your kids?
So you can wear your hijab, you can be modest, you can pray your 4 or 5 prayers, you can fast, you can be a practicing Muslim and be successful and be part of the society.
So what is your definition of success for your children?
I want to say what Allah gives you, nobody can take it away.
Be good at what you do. Be the best in what you do. And this is your success. That's what you own and control. But also, I believe we should re-attract successful images back into the community. Those sisters and brothers who have made it in the civil life, they should be invited back to the masjid to give our children assurance that a sister in hijab can be a doctor, can be an engineer, can be a computer scientist, can be in this job, in that job. We need to give our own success stories to our children to let them know, I see myself in that sister. I see myself in that brother. I see myself being like him, being like her. So we should not let our children only get information from public sources that is manipulated by certain groups or certain objectives. This is something we all need to work on this together. We need to work on this together. We need to invite successful brothers and successful sisters to come and do a career day for our children. Do some tutoring. Do some offering of help for free so that our children get in touch with them directly and feel, I am part of his success. I can be like him. I can be like his children. Instead of isolating people who come to the mosque in 4 walls as if this is a world and the outside world is a different life. We need to connect and build a bridge that outside of these walls, Muslims who used to pray here, grew up to be successful adults, are also back to the masjid and proud to be Muslims. I want to keep my pride in my deen as I am struggling and climbing the ladder. We need to keep those images alive in our children's heads and hearts. Any suggestion else? How do we keep our Muslim image of success available and present in our children's life? We need to get children who are themselves successful. The first on his school, the first on his class, the first on his grade, to come and show their success. Those who participate in science fairs, we can do Muslim science fair here, right? But we need you. I cannot do all of that. I need you. Our children need you and need your success to come to tell them success stories of Muslims who never missed a prayer, who were praying in public, who were dressed in their hijab, who were proud to be Muslims, and they were very successful in their life. So we need the kids who go to Johns Hopkins to come here. We need the children who go to Yale School and other schools to come here and share their success with others. How did I get there? How could your children get there? What does it take? This is something we could do. So we should not be hostages to public images that our kids are forced to try to imitate and give up their identity to do that. Okay. So what do you see in these two pictures here? Okay. So people are influenced by their friends. And on the other side, people try to choose friends who are more like them than they are not. Right? That's a norm in every society. But ask yourself, do your children get attracted to people who are more Muslims like themselves, or are they more attracted by others because they feel they are less, they are a minority, they want to be accepted, right? If this is the case, then we are not succeeding in making a Muslim image attractive. What does it take to make a Muslim friend more attractive than a non-Muslim friend? They may be both good ethically the same, but what does it take? What do we need to do?
You have to have the option, first of all. You have to know people that are good Muslims.
So if you have the option between a good Muslim friend and a good non-Muslim friend, then which one do you think is more like you? You look at this image, this is more like each other. Those are almost copies of each other, right? So the pictures say what we all know, that people are more attracted to their likes than not, right? So I'm asking the question, how do we make Muslims attracted to other Muslims as at least they are attracted to others? That is the first point. Thank you very much. So our children need to recognize, acknowledge, and accept their own skin as Muslims. When they are comfortable in their own skin, they are likely to be happy, whether, by the way, with Muslims or non-Muslims. Why? I am comfortable in my skin, which means I'm not intimidated that the majority are not Muslims. And I'm not isolating myself with a few Muslims. I am living my full life and I'm comfortable within my own skin. So I don't have to have my copy, right, to be comfortable. I can deal with anybody. I am not restrained not to deal with a certain group of people. But I am not going to be intimidated or trying to conform to make them happy, which means peer pressure is not going to be a factor in my head and heart. They can pressure all they can, but I'm going to stand my ground for who I am, and I'm proud. Those who want to accept me for who I am, they are my friends. Those who don't want to accept me, they have a choice for others. But I am not going to be intimidated, and I'm going to be standing tall, proud of my faith, and proud of who I am. Yes?
What I've seen is there are different qualities of Muslims in the community, and I think it helps as parents to encourage maybe friends of your kids that are not maybe the strongest Muslims to do things together that are Muslim. Like my son, when his friends come over, maybe they're shy about prayer, they don't do it at home, but we encourage him to pray with us. And subhanAllah, just the other day, without asking, the kid was over again and he wanted to pray.
Yeah.
And I think just setting an example and encouraging the kids to live their Muslim life, the routine that we do, prayer, fasting when it's Ramadan, all these things.
So I will go back to what the sister says in the beginning. Very important. that our children feel comfortable in their own Muslim skin, when they feel that Islam is their comfort zone, they will take it with them anywhere they go. If they feel intimidated by the larger crowd of others, or discouraged because some of their Muslim friends are not as good as others, we need to remind them that if you don't have in your friends some models, then you be the model and continue to contact with them. You be the model. You be the good company. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ was and always is the best of companions, right? Though Allah tells him, hold yourself in patience with those who remember Allah by day, in the early day time, and in the evening. Does he need good company? No, he does not. They need him. But Allah is telling him that his company with them is important. If not for you, it is for them. So our children need to know that if you are not receiving a good message, send your good message. If you don't see the good example, become the good example, so that they are comfortable in being somewhat like missionary, radiating truth, living truth. Very important. And people will choose you as friend whether they like you or not, if they benefit from you. If you excel academically, everybody wants to be your friends, right? At least if they are smart. So, and that's what we want to attract anyway. Okay. So what do you see here? Athletes. Okay. And what are they doing? What do we learn from athletics? Huh? A healthy lifestyle, right? Competition, thank you. What else? Teamwork, very good. Huh? Discipline, very good. How do you achieve something in athletics? More training, right? Persistence, right? Discipline, commitment. Those are the values that our kids who are best in athletics, they do not focus on picking. They go, they enjoy themselves in the game. If they win, they are happy. If they lose, they are not. And that's the whole thing. But we need to tell them, if we have our kids joined in any team, we need to focus on the values behind playing athletics. It is to make you healthier. It is to give you better body and better life. It is to give you better respiratory system. It is to give you commitment, discipline, and persistence. Success is the result of all of these values. And that, as it works in athletics, it works in academics, right? It's the same skills you learn, but you need to learn them first. So if and when your child is with the team going to join a match or something, ask him, what value do you want to learn today? What about patience? What about persistence? You lose the first round, you go at it the second round, right? So athletics is a huge field of education. It shouldn't be just seen through the prism of material benefit or spiritual benefit or lack thereof. It should be seen as a human endeavor, that it is good if we learn what to learn from it. And our kids on their own, they wouldn't pick those values. So we need to teach them. It's like the keyboard. We remember when we talked about the keyboard, they are not going to pick any of the values we talked about on their own. So somebody has to talk to them as to what values to pick from what they are doing of activities in their life. Also in athletics, as in life, there are winners and losers. Life has ups and downs, right? You win today, you lose next year. It's okay. You keep at it, you keep going. So that, and this is true in athletics as it is true also in academics and in general life. Those who do not fall, they don't know how to stand themselves up. and they don't know how to struggle. Those who do not slide, they never learn that sliding is only the result of long path of climbing, right? To slide, you have to climb. So we need to teach our kids that life is like athletic game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you never lose hope. You never lose trust of yourself. You never lose your self-esteem because the other team won today. It could be only one shot of a ball into the hole and the game is over. So you didn't lose the whole game, you lost 1 point, right? So we need our children to learn the value of trying, the value of training, the value of persistence. Those values are missing on our kids. And that's why, by the way, some of our kids continue to complain, no matter how old they are, I am bored. Bored because there is nothing new in their life. So we need to teach them that, did you learn something from the other team? What did they do better than you that you need to learn? What did you do wrong that you need to fix so that they learn as they play? We hear these words a lot, right? Be professional. So what do you see in the picture here? Professional, handsome, right? Serious, happy, right? Unprofessional means sad, right? Depressed, unsuccessful, right? So what is the image of professional here? Isn't it like the image of success? Right? But professional is only a new term that started to pop up in the past like 50 years or so. Professional images. And those are the successful images. So success and being a professional. What does it mean to be a professional? We'll get to know. We'll get to know. It's be like us. You see, when images defeat principles, cultures defeat cultures. So let us see if this current picture will give us something here. Don't laugh at the pictures. Those are the closest to illustrate what I wanted to illustrate. So tell me, what do you see? Okay. So it is not the conformity to the culture. It is not be like us anymore. It is be one of us. What is the continuation of this sentence? Be one of us or else. Or else. You are an alien, you are a stranger, you are a foreigner, you are not American. You don't look like America. You don't represent America. This is cultural pressure that our children face every single day. And as you could see here in the picture, and I hope you can catch this, if this guy in the middle and this girl in the middle, right, came from this kind of culture, I don't mean to be literal here, of course, but this so-called Muslim culture, right, they are pulled by their peers to come here as much as they are pulled right here, right? They see this pulling as pulling back, but they see this pulling as pulling forward, right? And between the two sides, they fall in the middle. And we will continue to talk about this process in the next one. But this is two cultures, maybe even more, okay, are tearing our children apart. And none of them is fully accepting the child. So the child grows either half identity or no identity, uncomfortable, insecure, uneasy, frustrated with both sides. Because at the end, the only compromise they can is to have two faces. That's the only compromise. To make you comfortable at home, they will do what you want. To make their friends comfortable, they will do what their friends want. And that's not healthy. You see this guy? What do you see in this guy in the picture here? Is he comfortable? Does he want to stand or does he want to sit down? Huh?
He needs a chiropractor.
Let us see. Okay. You see, he was standing one day when he was young. When he was young, he was happy to be Muslim. He was happy to go to pray Eid with his family, right? And he goes in the shadow and to receive gifts and hugs and kisses from friends and families and relatives, until he goes on his own to become an adult and faces the pressure on his own. And under that pressure, he cannot stand. And that's why you see him as you see him. Then he feels isolated between two cultures. Both of them reject him equally the same and try to attract him equally the same. Sometimes he gives up to outside culture and pressure, and sometimes he gives in to home culture and home values. So this guy, his sources of power that support his identity constitutes the only source for him to be a proud Muslim. So when he doesn't come to the mosque as often, or when he comes, he is not getting what he wants, then it becomes impossible for him to grow, develop, and nurture his own identity. So the pressure from the outside continues to be greater than the pressure inside or the attraction. Insufficient youth programs. Our appreciation for the youth is diminishing every day. We see them as undesirable, noisy creatures. I'm serious. And that's why all what we are focusing on to give them is a private place, give them the equipment to play and have fun and disperse. Which means it is like a child who is not wanted by his parents. When he or she makes noise, they just carry them, put them in a place where they can be silent or not heard, so that they watch the news or enjoy a discussion or do anything. We are putting our youth and our children in isolation, away from our input, away from our guidance, to anyone who is willing to take the pain of their jumpiness or uncomfortable remarks or anything else. And they go there for 2-3 hours, and we are happy that they are with somebody who will take care of them, right? Until we discover what the results may or may not be. And this is dangerous. Parents cannot be replaced. Parents' role cannot be substituted by anyone else. Parents have the primary responsibility and the primary authority to play the real role of being parents. Submit to no one, your children, unless it is you. When you give your children to someone else, you are literally telling them, do with him whatever you want. And when you do not attend any of your children's activity, it is like not attending the school where they learn. You lose that child over a period of time, 8 hours with somebody else. Why shouldn't they be attracted to someone else? They will. So if the only way, the only time, the only reason that you would trust somebody with your children is when you are 100% certain that they will do your job with them, or at least support what you're doing. And this is an issue that is lost on all of us, unfortunately.
It is the reality because, and I mentioned it earlier too, in a public school when we send our children, I never seen a Muslim parents for the teachers meeting, for the school activity, for what is going. So you will see them. I mean, it's really. Sometimes they will ask you, they will look at you strange when they see you, but I don't see it in the school of my kids go, either elementary or middle school or high school. I don't see them. I don't see the Muslims. I see Hispanic who doesn't speak English. They provide them to translators and they're sitting in the front. But I don't see a Muslim parents to be there and ask the teacher.
And this is an issue that leadership is needed, because we cannot nurture our children's identity as Muslims while we do not attend the place where they live 8 hours a day. This is more than the time they spend at home with anybody. So you are either giving them up or you want to keep them in. When I said leadership is needed, I am directing my discussion to you. Are you willing to talk to parents who have difficulty or reluctance or hesitation or fear to attend their school institutions and to work with those institutions? You need to do it. Because your peers who are not attending, they started to give up, it seems, on what you already achieved, which is to be part of the process, to just be present, to just talk when talk is necessary. That's more than enough.
I'm ready to do it.
But you need to offer it. No. We need to challenge people like you to offer, to take initiatives, to give leadership, to give guidance, to make it easy for other parents. Let us say we have a group of mothers who don't speak the language. So language for them is an issue, right? But listen, do they provide Somali language, Ethiopian, Amharic language? They do?
Yes, they do. So maybe they're not aware of it. Yeah.
So the information needs to travel. Okay? So I will ask you, with the help of your nice daughter here, right, to put a little brochure, my experience with the public school. What does it take to engage the public school? What about the language? What about the culture? What about my hijab? What are the barriers? How can I cross those barriers? Anybody wants to help? So we need your brochure along with the sister here to work on what benefits your child gets when you engage the school in the beginning. And what do you need to overcome? Overcome your fear, your language barrier, your hijab is not a barrier, a translation is available. So we need to get this brochure out, please. Please. Thank you. Okay, let us, anybody has a comment or question on this? Okay. Poor boy, he's been under the pressure. Huh? What about the role of Islamic centers in the life of our youth and children? Do you think it's powerful enough? Do you think we're doing all what we can? I'm really asking a question. Do you think that our youth are getting and our children are getting what they need from our activities that we offer them? So let us talk practical. What do you think we need to do to meet the needs of our children and youth in this Dar al-Hijrah? Let's not talk about the world. Yes.
So it talks about how important it is to keep children home in the first 5 years. And I think the masjid can become a part of that.
The first 5 years?
Of life, and before preschool, before kindergarten.
So what is the role of the masjid in the first 5 years?
Right. So I feel like there's a lack in that department in most masjids. Things like story time for preschoolers and children in the toddlerhood is missing. Playgroups through the masjid is also good support for the parents.
So what does a masjid need to offer to cover this kind of need?
Story time that has Islamic principles and Islamic stories that can bring kids together.
Remember, I am talking about mosque, not Islamic school.
Right. So
So-
that's before school. So in the toddler room year.
Yes.
So two to 5. in that age group.
Yes.
So like
Maybe
kids
during
from
Like the
Jamaat
library has
kids
that.
from
Yeah. So our library has story time for those age groups.
But maybe during Ramadan time, because a lot of people, women come here, and then the kids just really run
Yeah.
They
everywhere.
just run in
So
the
just during that 1 hour.
And who's going to do that? Because the imam will be a little bit busy. No. Please listen to Sister Iman. Yes, go ahead, Sister.
No, I'm just saying, we thought of it before, but it's hard to find a teacher, because if someone's 18 years old, for example, to do that, they would be in school at that time. So on Friday.
So it's either has to be 18 or none.
No, it could be someone older.
So,
Hire somebody.
so I want to track that experience, and then so what would happen?
What will happen?
Yes, we don't have 18, then, but we have older. Then what? What stops us from doing that?
To find consistent volunteer, unless we pay them.
Yeah, this is the key that I wanted to know. Let me finish with this, and I'll come to you. When we have a vacuum or an unmet need, and we put in our heads a certain image of who should cover this need, we should expand our possibilities, because we don't have the 18-year-old to do it. They are in school. Or the 21, they are still in school. Or the 22, they are in the job. Then who else needs to do it? It's some adults other than that age bracket, right? And even if what it takes is for every one of us to put $5, right, to hire one of us, this one of us should be chosen, selected, whatever, and hired to get the kids in the corner as others are sitting to pray. These are doing story time, or maybe taking a class upstairs, or this room down here. So what I am saying is we need to be practical and creative at the same time. But the sister raised a very important issue. If you get a volunteer, they are not always consistent. That is true. We adults don't have the discipline we want to teach our children. When we commit, we do not live up to our commitment. And we need to change that in us adults. As responsible parents, I keep repeating this. Hillary Clinton discovered something for us. She wrote a book titled, "It Takes a Village to Raise a Child." It takes a community to raise a group of Muslim children. It does. So we need to get out of our comfort zone, make commitment, and apply to the task our discipline, so that we show our children we are here for you. So when the kids come to the room and the parents come to pray, then the kids receive a welcome and welcoming teacher to take care of them for 40 minutes or an hour. I believe this is not much. By the way, we are hiring every week a sign language interpreter for our deaf brothers. Sometimes only one person comes. She is there for them. Sometimes nobody comes. She is there for them. Consistency and discipline is a key character that we are missing. Sister Kanya.
I was just suggesting the kids, before we focus on the kids, we have to focus the mothers first.
Do we have the luxury of time to...
No, not the luxury of time, but we have to...
The kids will be as old as we are before we change.
I deal with grown-up kids, and I know how I take responsibilities from how they talk to me. They don't even talk to their parents. But when they talk about their parents, it's very shocking. So what we need is to train our sisters, at least to give them a seminar one day, right, a seminar that we put together some intellectual things that we can train them how to deal with the baby and not to say things, and to train them as a Muslim children instead of igniting them, because they're not really kids.
This is open for parents. Some choose to come, some choose not to come. What do we need to do?
I think that she's raising on one thing that I saw in the public school. I see the teenagers, and when I meet them and see a lot of Muslim teenagers, especially in the high school, they come home in a different directions and a different idea. And when they come to school, they are a different person.
Of course.
So it's a reality is that, and when I spoke with them, some of them, what make you to do when I'm around this school? And one of the younger girl told me that I don't want my mom to come to school. And I asked her why your mother doesn't come
Because she wants to be free.
Exactly. Not only that, she says she embarrassed me, and she will scream and she will say something that. So it's not because of the mother. It's the way of the whole structure with the parents will come. So it's the teenagers, and they look at how the mother look like, how the mother talk, how the things. So it's just so much, and I was freaked out the way they were describing their parents. And it's a very important as the parents when they sending their child. Don't think that the child you send at home is the same child in the school. It's just a totally different person.
We will talk about this, inshallah, if Allah gives us time, next time, which is how do we understand our children, especially the youth, the teenagers. We will talk a lot about, what is going on in their head. And yeah. So I think I will stop here, even though this is not finished. We can finish next time to let you get ready for the Isha prayer. Do you have questions, anybody? If you don't have questions, I'll take a couple of minutes to finish this, with your permission. Who studied Shakespeare in Russian? Yes. Who studied Tolstoy in English? Charles Dickens in Arabic. What do we study Muhammad in English? And how come we are comfortable with that? Everything we want to learn, we want to go to the source, right? And when it is a first-hand source, we consider it the most authentic, except our deen. I think we need to change this. Those of you who still have children at early age of their life, make it your task. Make it your task that the first 5 years, the total monopoly years of the child's life, total monopoly for the parents. Nobody else influence them but you, right? Make sure that they pick from the Arabic, even what you didn't pick when you were their age. I told the story before of a friend from Syria who married a sister from America. She was born to an American mother and a Pakistani father. Okay? And when he was going to do the ceremony, they lived in California, he lived in Chicago at that time. And he called me up and he said, Sheikh Shakir, what do I do? This is a girl that's very nice household and stuff, but she doesn't know a word of Arabic. I said, that is your blessing and your challenge. So he said, but I'm asking, what do I do? I'm afraid for my kids. A kid can come in a year. I said, then that's your window of opportunity. You have 1 year. I said, what do I do in 1 year? I said, at least if you teach your sister, your wife, one English sentence in Arabic, and she should cross the English equivalent from her dictionary and start using the Arabic. In less than 2 years, she moved with him back to Chicago. I went to visit him. There was a conference down there. I took my wife, and my wife came down and she said, this sister from Syria is really nice. So in 2-year period, she learned and practiced every sentence there is that she uses at home in her personal life in Arabic. And from there forward, she didn't use English. How much accumulation she got. In 2 years, my wife thought she is Syrian. Anyway, so Arabic is very important because it's part of our major primary sources of knowledge. Knowledge of Islam with our children is very superficial, isn't it? It is on us to make it legitimate, authentic, and much more than what it is. Add one piece of knowledge every day, just one piece, and let your child put it in his or her journal. The journal is not just for social events. The journal should be accumulation of experience, knowledge, and skills. Experience, knowledge, and skills. I think we'll stop here. Inshallah. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.